Then building upon that is the understanding stage, haddul iqtisad. So in any subject, after understanding or mastering the essentials, one continues with more detailed texts. But it's foolish to go to more detail until one has mastered the basic detail, as the core, right? If you, whether longer primers, longer mutun, or intermediate commentaries. Which ones? One requires mentorship, right? One requires mentorship to be guided in one's pursuit. And there, what does one seek through that study? One is deeper understanding of the essential issues. The things that one covers before, one consolidates and builds upon that. And then to add to it, because you look at key details, right? So you deepen understanding of what you already covered, so you consolidate and deepen your understanding of it, but you add to it, you expand by looking at key details. You go into the reasoning and key issues, whether they be issues regarding which there was controversy, issues regarding which there was difference, key issues that may be confusing, that may be subtle, they may be rare but of tremendous harm. Right? Or some things could be very rare, but they have a lot of implications. If it happens, it is critically important. And these are the nuances, right? The fifth is one begins looking at contemporary applications. Contemporary applications. How is this practiced, and what are the challenges related to this that arise in our times? This happens a lot in fiqh, particularly outside the fiqh of worship. Because in changing times, there's all kinds of issues that arise with all kinds of things. Is it permissible to get Bitcoin currency, for example? Right? Trading in virtual worlds, for example. There's fuqaha who've written about these kinds of things. Some of them because they're just nerds, but also because the billions are spent on these things. Right? What's the fiqh of in-game purchases, for example? It depends what you buy in game too, of course. But also a lot of very practical things, especially in commercial transactions and medical ethics and in relationships, right? A lot of people are, there's a lot of stuff going on in the media about transgender rights and so on. There's a huge amount of fiqh related to ahkam al-khuntha, right? People, and there's degrees of those unclear sexual identity, unclear gender, like are they male or are they female, right? And there's a lot of guidance related to that, right? And it's actually very merciful too. But it is also clear, right? It's clear for the person and clear for others. And then deeper understanding of the subject, right? Because if you're seeking to consolidate your understanding, you know not just the text, but you understand the subject. What are the texts that are studies? What are the texts that you would read on your own, that you would reference, that you would refer to for clarification, right? What are the authoritative subtexts for the final opinion on something, on classical positions, but also on contemporary matters? Who are the authorities in the subject? You know it clearly, so you can distinguish so and so. And that they talked about tabaqat, for example, in fiqh. The scholars of fiqh talk about tabaqatul fuqaha, that there's levels. There's of jurists. Not every great, not everyone's an Imam so-and-so, but there's levels. And there's relative grades of authority. So one understands the subject. So that why? Because one is seeking to become a practitioner. Right? So one of the subject. And this understanding stage, we can talk about understanding the understanding stage. That this stage, which is the stage that any student of knowledge should complete this stage. Ideally, one completes the intermediate stage in all the major Islamic sciences. We're going to look at what those sciences are on Monday, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, for those of you who can make it. This stage may require the study of 2 or 3 texts, depending on the subject, right? And its importance. And it could also depend on the aims of the students and the guidance of their teachers, because people's circumstances vary. Right? If someone, for example, they've already completed university and they'll be starting a family soon, and they work full time, but they want to learn and they want to be able to benefit others. So you can't take a 10-year path of knowledge, say one day I'll attain this. You may need to compress the path of knowledge. So you study the basics well, and you study this, and now you can begin benefiting people, right? So how lengthy the understanding stage is depends on what your aim is. Are you trying to become a scholar? In which case, you just focus on that, and there's no need right now to focus too much on teaching others. You could just keep your nose in the books and keep plodding away. But even then, you may reach a stage, it may be slightly later, when part of now you've gained a certain amount of depth that teaching others will consolidate your knowledge. But there's other people who are not trying to become scholars. But if they take care of their personal benefit and on practicing what they learn, for them, within a year or 2, they should be able to teach the basics. And many of you, inshallah, will be announcing something about that. Many of you need to be in the community teaching the basics, right? And that depends on the student, because there's some people who have a lot of common sense, and there's others who have an uncommon lack of common sense, right? So, so people differ in their temperaments as well.
لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله